What's up, YouTube? This is CJ.
And Sarah.
It's a Wednesday, and that means it's time for another Keto
Conversations.
So let's get started. Alright, so this week we're talking about body mass index, BMI, versus waist to height measurement. So I'm looking at Sarah because she is our resident expert on this topic.
What do you mean on this topic?
Okay, I was trying to be kind. She's our resident expert.
And I'm trying to be truthful
on every topic. In fact, be sure to watch the end of the video. I'm going to talk about something that's in our yard.
Is that what you went outside
resident
for?
Expert told me, and I believed.
I have since clarified my information on said topic.
It's okay. People can judge on their own. Right, because you're a resident expert.
I am.
All right, so, but I'm going to kind of frame why we're talking about this topic. So, first of all, it's kind of an interesting topic. It's something that we get questions about from time to time.
People will basically tell us their BMI and want to know if they're in a healthful range, and I don't know why.
Yeah, but
would be considered experts on that.
But I also, recently, I think, and I can't remember which video it is. They kind of all run together. But I just started intermittent fasting again, and this time I'm doing it without any bulletproof coffee. I'm just
training
doing black.
wheels.
I'm just doing people call it. Some people call it training wheels. I'm just doing black coffee in the morning, and one of the things as I kind of got prepared to do that, so I'm going into my second week, is I kind of took some measurements again, remeasured, and reweighed. My weight has stayed the same, but one of the things that I didn't like is that actually my waist, I had gained some inches in my waist.
Inches that you had previously lost.
Inches that I had previously lost.
Okay.
And so that kind of bothered me. And so then it was interesting that you brought this topic up because it kind of hit home to me, because as we were researching this, now I guess I should also frame that when I started keto, I have been diagnosed as having, or been labeled as having, type 2 diabetes. The reason I say it was labeled because it depended on what doctor I went to. Some of them said I was pre-diabetic, and then other ones that eventually said I had type 2
because your A1C is on the high. It was on the low side of.
No, it was on the high side.
But I mean, it was on the low side of the height of diabetes. I mean, as far as
and so
it wasn't far into.
Yeah,
the
well,
diabetic
I don't
range.
know. Like I said, it just depended on what doctor you talked to at the time, and I go to I think it would be like an HMO, and I had a doctor, but I don't always get a chance to see the same doctor, and so
hardly ever.
So it was one of those things where, depending on who you talk to, some said I was pre-diabetic, one said I was diabetic. But anyway, I was on metformin, a bunch of other stuff, and so one of the reasons I wanted to get back into intermittent fasting is because I kind of felt like my eating, although it was all keto stuff, I kind of needed to get some things back under control. And I actually will say that, and I actually started, and I'm kind of all over the place, I downloaded an app for fasting. Now, I like the apps for fasting, but one of the things I don't like is that you can always see how much time you got left to fast. But one of the things I thought was interesting is in this particular app, it has some you can put measurements in. And one of the things they measure as far as progress, the way that you can kind of measure how your fasting is going, is your waist size.
So it's all correlating back to this waist to height measurement.
So I'm trying to bring it way back to what this is all about. So I saw that the other day, so I put in what my current waist size was, and I'm going to take some measurements this week because it's interesting. This is in my second week, and I can visibly see a difference in the size of my stomach.
That's excellent.
In just a week and a half. And so, again, this is kind of how this topic might have come about as far as how it affects me personally. And then one of the things I want to make sure is that, because when we were researching this, I started to get a little bit, I don't want anybody to get discouraged by this information. This is just information.
Right.
It's just information.
This is our opinion and current medical opinion.
Yes, that right. But it's not to say try to get anybody discouraged, because I know when I kind of was reading this, I was thinking about, geez, freaking Louise, I've lost 70 plus pounds on keto, but I'm still one of those people who have.
That's where you carry your weight.
I carry my weight, and so everybody is different.
Yes.
Everybody's body type is different. Everybody's different the way you. So again, this is not about trying to make anybody feel bad. In fact, it's really just to give you information. And if you want to get more information about it, we'll put some resources where you can do some of your own research. But this, as Sarah mentioned, this is kind of, there's a lot of health organizations, not just keto doctors talking about
that
this,
are moving away
but
from
a lot of
BMI.
people are moving away from the BMI. And then, the BMI can also kind of tie to your scale, which we always talk about is not accurate.
It doesn't differentiate between muscle and actual fat.
And so that's kind of some history behind why we're talking about this particular subject. So hopefully you get something out of this as we go on. And then I'm going to turn it over to our expert, Sarah. And actually, she has done a lot of research on this. And she talks about kind of why it was important to you, or why it made a
simply
difference
because
to you.
of my own experience with the whole BMI thing, and as far as it correlates to being overweight and being a normal weight by just such a small measure.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Here we go. Now Sarah does 99% of all answering all the comments. I do answer some, but she does probably 99% of them. And so you were saying that you get questions about this.
I get quite a few questions, people wanting me to look at their BMI or their body mass index and, let them know where it should be on this lifestyle and that kind of thing. Yeah, I've gotten several comments about BMI. That's fine. Usually it's male subscribers. And I will generally reply with, that is not my favorite method of calculating body composition. And so I thought it would be a good topic to discuss maybe why I don't like the BMI and, that index, and something that I do prefer.
I'll just say this, because you're going to lead most of this conversation. I'll just say this. The question about BMI, and it doesn't seem odd, but it seems like it's one of those things I don't even think about. I mean, I know what it is. I don't
think about it either.
I know what the charts say, and
I guess part of the reason that it crossed my mind as well is because the last time I needed to go to the doctor, this was a couple of months ago. They give you your BMI. At least at my doctor's office, a lot of them don't even weigh you when you come into the office. You get on the table and you're weighed on the table, just silently.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if I have a super futuristic doctor's office.
I went to the doctor yesterday, and the first thing they had me do was get on the scale. At
my doctor's office, they have you sit on the table like you're ready for the examination, and the table weighs you. So anyway, but part of the calculations that get spit out is your BMI, and it's still amazing to me that we are using this as a form of calculation.
So BMI is body mass index. Okay, so BMI is body mass index, and
it's been around since 1830s, and the reason it was established, it was designed as a simple means of classifying average populations with an average composition. So it was really originated as a way to count villagers in remote villages. So it never even started out as a way to measure your body composition. And when I mean composition, I mean muscle to fat ratio kind of thing. And there's no way that just doing this simple, math formula, which by the way is not simple, could tell you anything about a person. Some of the reasons why is because it's not very accurate, especially in people who are athletic or who are a different height. Because often athletes have a high muscle to fat ratio, and therefore a BMI is relatively high, saying that they have a higher body percentage than they do because BMI doesn't take into consideration muscle.
Okay, so the BMI is outdated, and I've done some research on this, and I guess people, however, we've been kind of taught in our at least in America, I'm not sure what happens in other countries.
Right.
The BMI is kind of what
Your
a lot
gold
of
standard.
people kind of use that as their goal. So a lot of times you're concerned about your weight
and your body fat
but then
percentage.
your body fat percentage. And,
right.
And so if this scale is off, and that's the best way to do it, a lot of us could be stressing about stuff that's for no reason. Right,
and the thing I guess that drove it home for me was when they gave me my BMI, the nurse said, wow, your BMI has gone down a lot. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, from, the last time I'd been to the doctor was a couple of years ago, so before I started my weight loss journey, basically. Mm-hmm. But I still looked at it, and I came home and I did the charts, and it was like because I weighed 1 pound over this chart, that put me into the overweight category. So if I lost a single pound, 1 pound, I was in the normal range.
Be classified as
so to me, this was like, oh no. This is not, this is not an accurate way to measure. If 1 pound can make you overweight or normal, just 1 pound, 16 ounces, there's got to be a better way to gauge the health of your body and your cardiovascular health even, or your risk factors for other types of illnesses.
Okay.
So now we are going to talk about what I do prefer, and also what even the World Health Organization, who we know is not always in keeping with the times, has found since 2011 that there's a better way to calculate your risk factors and your overall general health, whether you're overweight, obese, or normal.
Okay.
So, what that is the waist to height ratio. And it's also a lot easier to figure it out than BMI, because BMI is much more of a mathematical calculation, and it even has like decimal points, like you're supposed to divide this by 2.35 and a whole bunch of other things, so it's a little bit more complicated.
So that's how they came up with the chart.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, Ansel Keys was a big proponent of BMI, and we know that he's the one that did, the 7 countries study, and he's part of the reason why we have the dietary guidelines in place that we do right now. Anyway, so your waist circumference is a good indicator of your visceral fat, the fat that you carry around your middle, which poses more health risks than fat anywhere else on your body, is because it encompasses your organs. So generally, how large your waist is in both men and women is a good indicator of your cardiovascular health and your risk for things like diabetes, stroke, heart attacks, and that kind of thing. So it's definitely a better way to see whether or not you are in acceptable levels of health. So.
Okay, so you take are we going to talk about how you do it?
Yes, and I know that we have talked about this just intermittently in some of our other discussions, and I believe you had put the health calculator app at least in one other video.
I don't remember, but I can
anyway,
put it in this one.
I like it because in the app that I use, it's got this little, almost like a rotary phone, if you're old enough, if you're as old as me and you know what a rotary phone is. But it's this little tiny dial.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it allows you to put your height in there and then come over here and do your waist size. And then it tells you whether or not you're in an acceptable range, if you need to take caution on one side or the other. Because there's a possibility of people being underweight. Generally, if you're practicing this lifestyle, that's not a problem. But anyway, I find that it's a lot easier to use. A lot of your ketogenic doctors, low-carb doctors, Dr. Jason Fung, Dr. Eric Westman, Ken Berry, all of your up-and-coming doctors that are promoting low-carb lifestyle, ketogenic lifestyle, believe that this is the best way to calculate your overall health. So the way for you to do that is measuring your waist in inches, and then you divide it by your height. So you want to keep your waist less than half your height.
So if I'm 60 inches,
you want your waist to be 30 or less.
Then I want my waist to be 30 or less. Okay, so if I take that calculation, just right off the top of my head, I still got work to do.
Okay.
If I take that, just estimating,
Correct.
I still have work to do.
This test is supposed to be so easy that theoretically you could take a piece of string and do your height with a piece of string. And then after you have your height with this string, if you can fold that string in the middle and put it around your waist, then you know you're golden. So you don't even have to have a tape measure theoretically. But it's important that you measure your waist at the correct point. And according to these charts, it needs to be about 1 inch above your belly button and 1 inch below your ribs. So there's a nice sweet spot right there on your rib cage abdomen area that gives you the most accurate idea.
And you want the tape to be tight, but not so tight where it's...
And I know that we have talked about the body tape that we like. It's in our favorites on Amazon, simply because it has a nice concave inside. So you're able to actually stick it up to your body. And then it also has this nice little pin in it, so that when you put it around your body, you can slide the pin in. So you know it's really secure, and you're getting a true accurate measurement because it's getting as close to your body as it can. And we know that, even a 1/2 inch is a big deal, especially when you're calculating your weight loss based on using your measurements and not just the scale.
Right.
So I know that a lot of times people will say, how much should I weigh? And, that is very difficult to determine because health is not a number on the scale, and we've talked about this before, but rather it's the amount of fat in our abdomen. So if your waist to height measurement puts you in a normal range, that can give you a variation of as much as 10 to 15 pounds. So, going by the number on a scale is not necessarily a true marker of health, because it's interesting that I read that a pear-shaped body is what is preferred in being the most healthy, because it's all right for people to carry a little bit more weight on their hips, thighs, and etc. And in their butt, like Sir Mix-a-Lot. She's little in the middle, but she's got much back. It's okay to have a booty. You just need to be smaller in the middle, especially for women.
Okay.
So.
Well, like I said, based on the example of your height in inches, and then half of your...
Yeah, it should be half.
It should be half of your weight. Then I've still got work to do, which is fine.
And it's a more fair gauge, because BMI kind of was prejudicial against short versus tall people. Right. So a lot of times tall people, say you're a woman and you're 5'9", and you weigh a little more, and so your BMI is saying that you're way above what you should be. When in actuality, you should weigh more. You're a larger person. Right. You're taller. You're everything weighs more, even just your bones. And so this measurement is equally fair for short people, tall people, young people, old people, because, as we age, we also get a little shorter. Our bone density gets less, and so sometimes people can
if you
shrink.
get shorter as you get older, I guess it still would be accurate, because it's still
You're still measuring your waist and not necessarily your height as a comparison. Right. So, it still is more fair. So, anyway, abdominal obesity is what we are concerned with, personally. And that's why I don't go along with BMI as a standard for measuring things. So, we will put the app that I use in the description.
I need to be clear. So when she says an app, it's a link to a web page. It's not an app for your phone. I just want to make sure.
Okay, they might have an app. I just liked this little.
I just know that when you. Yeah. I know when you send it to me, it wasn't. I'm looking for like an app for my phone. It's not an app for your phone. It's.
And we also read.
It's a page that you go to that has this
the little
calculator,
chart.
Right?
Yeah, and the little measurement.
Right.
Spinny thing.
Right.
And we also read several good articles yesterday.
Yeah,
about
we can link to those.
And the latest studies. Each of those articles have the studies posted, so you can actually go in and read the studies if you wanted to. And they were actually correlation studies, studies where they took, thousands of participants and did things in both ways, and why they felt since 2011 especially, that this is the more accurate marker. And you can just, I mean, even Wikipedia has a lot of really good information on body mass index versus the waist to height ratio, and why even Wikipedia is saying that a lot of people are swaying towards this new way of measurement.
Right. And so I guess, our biggest point is that we want to give you tools so you can just know, I guess, how to
figure things
out.
Because the scale is not accurate. It's not an accurate way.
If you've been using the scale and the BMI, you could be putting yourself through a lot of stress and angst for.
And you might be closer to your goals than you thought.
Exactly, you may be closer than you realize, based on just more up-to-date science and information. So anyway, this is just hopefully this is something that will help someone in our audience.
Yes.
And it's a different way of thinking. Mm-hmm. It's a different take on stuff that we've been taught for a long time. But hopefully it'll spark enough maybe curiosity in some of you to go out and do some more your own research on it. And because like Sarah said, there's a lot of health organizations that are getting on board with this as well. It's not just
even health organizations that don't often support keto.
It's not just keto doctors.
It's not.
It's
when the World Health Organization is saying this, and they don't change their tune very often, Yeah.
So anyway, if you just happen upon this segment, this is our Keto Conversation segment. We do this every Wednesday. We do new recipes on Sunday. And we hope that you consider subscribing. We are here to try to help people be successful on their keto journey, and we appreciate you being here. So we hope that you have a great rest of the week, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Peace.
So that little thing looks like an animal, but it's not. It's actually a bundle of my daughter's hair that we had cleaned out of her brush. I think it's been almost a year and a half ago. And Sarah said, hey, put that outside. The birds will use it and animals will use it for nest and blah, 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 blah. So I said, okay. Had never heard of that before. I said, okay. Put it in my yard. It's been there for almost 2 years. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it there to see how long it can last.